It's been a few months that we get comments to make a video about the Nazi time machine. An object that might have been built by Nazi and nobody knows where it is. And nobody knows if it's real or not. This is a conspiracy theory. This object has a name, and it's Die Glocke, and in English it means the bell. We don't care about the conspiracy theory. Was this object ever even built? Not a time machine, but an object by the name of Die Glocke. You guys know the Germans. They were always ahead of their time. They created the first missile, the first fighter jets. They try to show themselves more advanced than they are. The first ballistic missile, which was the V-2 rocket, was created by them as well. We're not here to tell the industrial history of the Nazi Germans. We just want to talk about Die Glocke. They believe the conspiracy theory started around the year 2000. And they believe it came from a German book by the name of Mittelwerk. In this book it says the creator of this was one of the Nazi SS officers by the name of Dr. Hans Kammler. How the item was described was that Die Glocke is an anti-gravity machine. It also has a very weird fuel, Zerum 525. Do you know what Zerum 525? The thing we just recently made a video about. Red Mercury. The story of the conspiracy theory of Red Mercury probably came from this as well. So what else do we know about this machine? Who made it? What was it made with? There is no real writings about this object, and for a Nazi machine, it's extremely weird. Because anything they invented or created, they had a booklet about it. And what it is, what was it made with, who made it. But for the Die Glocke, no information was actually found. Another name that's talked about Die Glocke is Dr. Werner Heisenberg. Dr. Heisenberg was basically the same person that the US called Oppenheimer. He was the director of the nuclear program in Nazi Germany. And the name of Heisenberg in Breaking Bad came from him. This guy was too busy trying to invent the atomic bomb. He didn't have time for Die Glocke. In 1945, Berlin had fallen, and Heisenberg was in American hands. But after a while, they released him, and they believed he was forcefully working for the Germans. As you know, after the war was ended, most German scientists were in American hands. And a little bit of them went to the Soviet Union. Conspiracy theories believe Die Glocke went to the US, and they are controlling time with it. But we're not saying to believe it, because Die Glocke is a conspiracy theory. The people that believe this conspiracy, they also said that Nazis have UFOs as well, and it's in US's hands now. They also showed the Horton 229 design and said the US took this design and created the B-2 stealth bomber. After World War II, most of the world was anti-German, and different stories came out that would show Nazi German scientists that were evil, and they were highly advanced. After the war, there was a lot of fictional stories about the Germans. Like they used to talk to aliens, they can control time, and a lot of other funny stuff. It is true that the Germans were very advanced, but not like these stories. If they're called conspiracy theory now, back then they were considered not. Back then, they believed whatever people said. Like they would say the Nazis have electric submarines, something that's not even invented to this day. A lot of fictional movies always showed an evil German scientist creating something to destroy the world, and a few allies go and stop him. They believe the Glocke came from these stories as well, and it can't be real. Especially the fuel, Zerum 525, or red mercury, and this fuel obviously doesn't exist. All these scientists that went to the US, and some of them went to the Soviet Union, how is it possible that they never talked about the Glocke? So none of them saw this machine? All these scientists died, and then they create this conspiracy. Another important question is that if Hitler had UFOs, an anti-gravity machine, he could control time, why the hell did he lose the war? People that love conspiracy theories say in the year 1965, the US tested the Glocke. At that time, something like a meteor, but at very low speed, crashes close to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. A lot of people watched this crash. Then they realized it was a Soviet satellite by the name of Cosmos 96. But after this, the conspiracy theories went wild, and the stories came along with them. They say it was the Glocke. This was Cosmos 96 that crashed next to Pittsburgh. And when you look at it, it kinda looks like the drawing of the Glocke, and that is why they highly believe that this is true. If we don't want to take sides, it might have been something that had to do with the atom bomb. Because the conspiracy people believe Heisenberg worked on the Glocke. And like we said, he was the director of the nuclear program for Nazis. But the main question is here, and I hope you answer. If Nazi Germany was this advanced, and they could create objects like this and control time, but why did they lose the war? They weren't even able to invent the atomic bomb. Please comment.